All right, you guys, I need to know. If you had to choose between a spinning reel setup and a bait casting reel setup, which one are you going to choose? Let me know why. What's up, you guys? Thanks for tuning in today. I got a bit of a doozy today. I had a question presented to me, basically just asking which rod and reel combo is better, whether I should be using a bait casting rod and reel or a spinning rod and reel. And honestly, there's not a clear answer on which one you should use. To let you know right off the bat, I think any rod and reel that gets you out on the water, that's the one you're going to want to use. Whatever you have accessible to you currently, whatever's going to get you out fishing and into this hobby, I think that is the rod that you should be using and reel setup you should be using. You know what? I myself am pretty new to fishing as a hobby. It's not anything that I would say that I'm excellent at by any means, and all of the equipment that I use for the most part is budget equipment. Like for example right here, this is a Walmart Ozark Trail spinning reel with the Shimano Sojourn for the rod. Both very accessible, very good price points. And then this here is a Lew's Custom XP bait caster, very affordable bait caster. For the rod, this one is actually a 13 fishing rod, but any 7 foot to 7'3" rod would do great for a bait caster, kind of an all the way around rod. Honestly, neither of these rods or reels set me back all that far, and having them both allows me to be able to get out on the water and try out multiple different variants of items. With the spinning rod, I like to stick to slightly lower weight items, a little bit more finesse with this. Whereas with the bait caster, I'm able to go ahead and just bomb out heavy lures and get a little more distance on my casts, which I've really been starting to enjoy. For years, I was a trout fisher, so I used primarily a spinning reel and maybe an ultralight fast action. I would use something just to get up into the mountains and get some nice trout out of my local streams and rivers. Lately, I've had a group of friends that have been getting me more and more into bass fishing, and so I had a buddy of mine, Danny. He's the one that hooked me up with this rod and reel combo. This bait caster is my first ever bait caster. It's something I'm still getting accustomed to. Casting without backlashing is definitely a little bit of a mission, but I've definitely been learning a lot very quickly, and it's something that I want to continue to get better and better at with time. And I can definitely see the practical application for having both of these in your setup, having a traditional, spinning reel and also having a bait caster on hand, primarily so that you can hit different situations from different angles. You're always going to have, a need for some other equipment, some other means of getting to a spot, maybe a different strength or power for your rod, so that it's gonna act differently with different weighted lures. It's a tough question. It really is a tough question. Which rod and reel? What's better? Traditional versus I don't think is fair for spinning versus bait casters. And I do understand there's an argument now, right, that they have the BFS setups for bait casters, which can now do some incredible finesse work with lightweight lures. I haven't personally been able to try that out. And for me, what I have accessible to me right now immediately is a spinning setup and this bait caster setup. And with both of these, I'm able to throw all kinds of lures, different weight sets. I think personally for myself, being able to throw like a very lightweight topwater frog with your spinning reel versus a large topwater frog, especially it's the cold season right now, and being able to get the proper presentation for the season and for where you're at is important. And if you only have, the bait caster, and you're only capable of throwing these, half ounce or higher items with precision, and for me, I can't throw anything with precision, just because I'm so new to the bait caster setup. I'm really focusing on, for example, like I have this, it's a half ounce jig head, and then it's got a little trailer, just a little crawdaddy on there for a trailer. This is something that I personally wouldn't throw on my spinning reel. It just would be an awful experience. I'd have a hard time managing it. It wouldn't get out as far as it could with, like, for example, if I was throwing this on the bait caster. I mean, I could bomb this across the lake or a pond and get way more action out in the water as well. So there's definitely different use case scenarios. I mean, if I'm running something like, let's say, a worm, and I'm running it wacky, something like a Senko or one of these Strike Kings, if I'm going to run one of these wacky and no weight, I'm going to be running that on my spinning reel. And so you can see kind of the desire to have both in your arsenal, to be able to bounce between the both of them, to try out different lures, different weights, different presentations, all while fishing the same body of water. I'm brand new to all of this, and so this is all stuff I'm slowly figuring out as I go. And it got presented to me, this question, oh, well, which one are you going to stick with? Which rod are you going to use? What are you going to be? Like, I had to choose a side between spinning reels and bait casting reels and rods. And I think it's perfect to have both. I think the more you have, the better. Not to mention, you're able to have, for example, if I was to get to this point where I have multiple bait casters, I'd like to be able to dial my rod and reel in and have this specific rod for maybe, top water with some braid on here, and then I can switch over and have a different bait caster for my jigs and for my diving crankbaits. It would be really cool to have different setups for each use case scenario. Of course, those are all things that you would get to with time. And I think anything that you have, whether it's a spinning reel, whether it's a bait casting reel, like I was saying earlier, if it's accessible to you, I think that is the rod and that is the reel that you should be using, and do everything you can within your budget to kit it out and go out and just have a good time on the water. And if you start having fun and you start thinking it's necessary, once you've become more invested in the hobby, to start investing more money into it, I would say approach it at a budget mindset and then have a little bit of fun with it. Go ahead and pick up some budget bait casting combos or a budget rod reel combo for your spinning reel. There's an infinite amount of companies now that are making some really good budget combos. And I think that you could sample multiple different fishing styles, for $100, $150 per combo, and you will not be disappointed. And so I don't think there's a clear-cut winner. Personally, I think there's a need for both. There's a time and a place. And I think that mastering any type of fishing will bring a lot of joy to you personally. I think it's something that you're going to enjoy. I don't think there's any reason to niche down into one specific style of rod and reel combo. I think there's a ton of fun to be had as long as you're at the water and as long as you're ripping lips. I think that's all that matters. You guys, thanks so much for giving me a watch today. I look forward to going out and fishing, getting better day by day. Hopefully here soon I'll have a new video posted up out on the water, and hopefully we'll have a little bit better luck than last time we went out. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great one.